Okay, guys. First of all, this is so like I feel butt naked. Y'all see it said the naked truth. Y'all, I feel so naked right now. Um, I've had so many questions from people, family members, friends, people that I meet in passing or whatever, dating about what happened to my eye, how I lost my eyesight. Um, no, I'm so sorry. My phone rang. It's the kids. See, the devil always know how to try to distract you. Um, anyways, y'all. So I want to take you back to March 22nd. It was 2000 and I'm sorry, 2000. It was 1994, y'all. I'm gonna take y'all back to 1994 on a Sunday morning. A lot of you know that my dad was a truck driver. My mother was a CNA. She did mostly private duty cases, so she was away a lot. um, I also told a lot of y'all that I found God on my own as a young child, so I always went to church. So I'm going to take you to the Sunday morning that I got up, and I said to my grandmother, hey, I want to go, I'm going to go to Sunday school, but I want to go to church with my friend. This friend of mine, this young man happened to be, um, this young man happened to be um, a friend, a nephew of my father's friend. So my grandmother said, yeah, you can go. Go ahead. Just make sure, when you go to church, after you leave Sunday school and you get over there for church and y'all get out, make sure you call me. Um, I also told you guys that my dad was on drugs, so a lot of people were afraid of him, including his mother. A lot of people were afraid of him, including his mother, and all that's important when I started telling this story. So I remember getting up and I got ready to go to church, y'all. I could tell y'all exactly what I had on. And for some reason, the weather during that time was kind of jacked up too. So I had on a jumper dress, the schoolgirl tights, dark tights, and some little stupid tie-up shoes. They were like tennis shoes with a wedge. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all don't, just think about what's that girl name? Debbie on Friday. The platform tennis shoes. That's what I had on. So I went to church. I went to Sunday school. After I left, hey Christina, after I left Sunday school, I went to my friend's house and I called my grandmother um, like I was supposed to. Hey mama, my mama is here. I called my grandmother. And it's really important because a lot of parts of this story, my mother don't my mother doesn't really know, and she'll be hearing it with you guys for the first time. I've never talked about my mother knew what happened because the police were involved and things like that, but my mother never knew what happened to the extent that it happened. So So I got up and I got when I got there, I called my grandmother to let her know that I was there. She said, "Okay." Mind you, my daddy was still on the road at that time, and he no. As a matter of fact, he wasn't on the road because he had got off and he had been out all night. My mom was at work. My daddy had been out all night. I'm sure he was getting high, getting, doing whatever he was doing, partying. He was definitely partying. Let's make sure I put that disclaimer. The Saturday night before this incident happened, my dad was partying. Okay. And so that's where the miscommunication was. And I think that when he came home, and he was high and irate and he was asking where I was. This is where the problem came in. So I did all that, and we had dinner, and I had my cousin Terry with me. I I had my little cousin Terry with me. So the guy's mother came and picked us up. We went over there. We started eating dinner, hanging out, playing card games or whatever. And I think I might have liked the young man. I don't know if that was really the case, because at that time I told you guys that I was a lesbian. I didn't know how to come out to my parents and tell them, that I was or whatever. So by the time, there was no cell phones, all the stuff, all the technology right now that we have right now, they were not just there. We couldn't just pick up our cell phone and call and say, hey, I'm over here and I'm good. Y'all got to take these earrings off, because like I feel like I need to, like, you ever feel like you just needed to, yeah, that's how I feel. So anyways, y'all, so after we ate dinner, and I remember it raining, and then I remember hearing the lady, Miss Gail, she was on the phone, and she was saying, no, I thought she told Miss Lacey, that she was coming over here. I'm sure she did, because, I told her I was picking her up. Okay. So I heard the confusion, and Miss Gill came in and she asked me, did you tell somebody where you were going? I said, I told my grandma that after I went to Sunday school over here at the garden, that's the church I went to at the garden. After I went to Sunday school at the garden, I was going to come over here and I was going to go to church with my friend. And she told me, okay. And so when my dad came home after being in a tyrant and was, high or whatever, when he came home and he started asking about me, my grandmother became afraid. Y'all, can I smoke? Just let me smoke. Let me smoke. So I guess my grandmother was afraid. And then I had my cousin with me, and so I'm sure that probably made it worse. And the fact that they couldn't get anybody on the phone right then to literally come over there and get us and pick us up and bring us home before my dad got there. So this went on for a while. My dad was screaming and yelling for the people to bring me home, and they were trying to, but she was also cooking dinner for her mom. So like I said, after we got through eating dinner, my cousin and I remember hearing a knock on the door. I remember hearing a knock on the door, and after I heard the knock on the door, I could hear Miss Gail and my daddy arguing. Y'all, I can remember right there in that moment how I felt when I heard my dad's voice. My heart dropped to my feet. I felt empty. I was completely cold and sweats, because like I said, my dad was abusive to my mother when my dad was on drugs. And so I couldn't imagine what was going to happen. But at the same time, I was his baby girl. So, I was sure that we would have a disagreement, but it would be over and done soon. Okay. So when I got to the door, I remember telling my dad saying, where have you been? Where the fuck you been? Where the fuck you been? I've been calling you up. We've been looking for you. And I said, I'm a child. I'm 15 years old. How y'all been looking for me when I told my grandma that I was coming over here after church? He said, I asked and nobody said they knew where you was. And I was like, that's not true. Because let me tell you something right now, these kids, I wouldn't have dare said you lying to my daddy, to my parents. I wouldn't have dare said nothing out of line to my parents. I was like, that's not true. Y'all, and as I told my cousin to come on, let's go. And this part is probably going to be difficult for my mother, because she wasn't there. And these are the details that were left out. Remember that I said at the beginning of this, I love my parents, right? I did say that. Okay. So I remember, and I could see this emptiness in my dad's eyes, because if you ever been a person who was on drugs and alcohol, uh, or been around a person that was addicted, that was an addict, you know that when they coming down and they're enraged, they have this emptiness in their eyes and in their spirit. So I remember telling my cousin to come on, and when I turned around to walk out the door, and I probably was, maybe I was fine. I probably was about 115 pounds. My dad was probably about 300 pounds at that time, maybe 250. I'm gonna say 250. And I remember turning around to get after my cousin came out of the door. She walked around my dad, and I remember turning around to say bye to Miss Gail, and I remember my dad punching me in the face. Boom. I hit the ground. Um, the thoughts that were going through my mind at that moment were not, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't, um, I can just remember in my mind after being punched to the ground by my father and laying there, I remembered the thoughts that were running through my mind, and those thoughts were, oh my God, did this just happen to me? And I gotta pick myself up because I wanna go to my car. I wanna hurry up and go to my car because we in Fifth Ward off Liberty Road. I don't want the laws, the people to call the laws on my daddy. I know that he's angry. I know that this is not a way that he would not act. I mean, I know he wouldn't act like this any other time. And I wasn't, I knew about addiction all my life, but I didn't really understand how it worked and the anger. So anyways, excuse me, we started to ride home. We started to ride home, and my cousin Terry was in the back seat. And my dad kept saying, I know you lying. You was over there doing this and you was doing that and you was over there with that boy. And I could imagine being addicted to cocaine because I've been addicted before. I've been addicted. So I could only imagine what he was thinking, that I was doing. But mind you, the young man was there, his grandmother was there, his aunt was there, his uncle was there. And it was just a different time, y'all. We didn't do stuff like these kids do now. So I'm riding, and my dad took me the long way. We go through the streets, and every time he stopped, he punched me in the face. Boom. Or he'll hit me, or he'll slap me. And I just remembered saying, damn, I have to hurry up and get home. And when we got home, I thought that it was over. My dad said to me, stand in the corner. I'm thinking to myself, I'm 15 years old. I'm really not feeling standing in the corner. And you already did this to me, y'all. My mouth was busted open. Again, my mama was at work by the time we got home. And by the time we got home, y'all, there were other members of my family. My aunt was there, one of my dad's friends, my other dad's friend named Eddie. He's deceased now. God bless his soul. Mr. Hubbard, he was there. And I'm calling these people by name, and it's very important for me to say this because I have to say these things out loud as I analyze how it was. We had a big screen TV. It was right here, like in the front. The door, if you walk in the door, the big screen was right here in front of the TV. If y'all on here, y'all feel me. The big screen TV was in front of right here. The couch was against the wall, where there was an open space on the side of the wall where my great-great-grandmother picture hung on the wall. One of those old 1800 or early 1900 pictures, hung in the corner. And I remember standing there in the corner, and I'm hurting. I'm hurting. I'm physically hurting, but more emotionally. And so I remember my grandmother saying, Ray, don't do that. It's all right. And I turned around to tell my grandmother, why did you lie? And I remember saying it. And that took my daddy out. Was I wrong for what I said as a child? Probably. But I didn't understand then that, like I understand now, that she lied because she was afraid. So when I said that, my daddy grabbed me by the back of my head. He pushed my head against the wall. Boom. And he started dragging me. And he started dragging me from the living room to the hallway. We got through the hallway, and I'm kicking and screaming because y'all, at this time I've already been through a lot. I've been molested for most of my life, by family members and uncles and shit. So I'm already defensive. I have to be strong and I have to know how to stand up for myself. So as he's doing this, so I'm kicking myself out of this. I'm trying to help myself. And at this point I feel like I'm fighting for my life. And again, all I'm thinking is, this is the person, this is the man that I love more than anybody in my whole life, and I would give my life for him. And all I could think about was, why was he this angry? Um, So we struggled for a while. My grandmother came out. And my grandmother was elderly. She was older at this time. And my grandmother came out and she tried to help. And she tried to help as much as she could. And I remember thinking about all the adults that were in the house at that time. And nobody tried to help me. And then Miss Gail was the wife of John, which was my dad's good friend. And they were calling on the phone and they were telling my daddy, you got the wrong idea. She's not that kind of girl. That's not what happened. And then I remember hearing my grandmother on the phone talking to my mama. And my mom saying, what's going on? And she on the phone and she's screaming hysterically. And the more Mr. John and Miss Gail called and they tried to explain what happened, and that's not what was going on. I had just went to church and I was going to eat dinner and I was going to come home. The more angry he got. And I remember, my mom and my daddy and my I was raised in the house with my grandmother. They would require us to iron our clothes. They would require us to iron our clothes for the week for school. Y'all, this is a fun fact. Y'all didn't know this about me. I stayed down the street from the high school that I went to. And this just goes to show how overprotective my father was of me as his baby girl. Thank you, Mama. This just goes to show how overprotective my father was of me as his baby girl. And my mama would tell you, my dad made my brother drive me to school every day when I was in high school, and my school was less than a half a mile away from my house. So I could imagine how he felt thinking that I was doing something. Okay. And so now we're in the room and she's calling and I'm crawling into a corner because at this time I don't have any defense against them. And then I remember saying to my daddy, like, please stop. Like, I'm not. And the phone rang again, and I was saying, Miss Gail, help me. I remember screaming it out because, like I said, my dad had the only car. My mama was at work. My dad had the only car, and I remember screaming for that. And I remember the iron being hot. I guess one of my brothers had ironed for iron getting ready for school. And so when my dad grabbed the iron and brought it down to hit me, he ended up hitting my grandmother with the iron. That kept me from being burned, but then that made him angrier. So that was a extension cord. Now, mind you, again, there was a lot of people here in this house with us during the time that this happened. And my dad ran out and he grabbed the extension cord. And it was the one I used to use when I would curl my hair. Because remember I said I got up and I went to church, baby. Let me tell y'all something. I wore a fan. Y'all remember the fan hairstyle, the waterfall? I wore that. So I knew how to curl it. That was my expertise, okay? So I had curled my hair and everything. And so that's why the cord was there. And I did pick the cord up. And so when they called back again and I started trying to kick my way out and saying, I'm leaving, my dad grabbed the extension cord and he tied me up. He tied me up. And then he started hitting me with the cord from the iron. He didn't hit me with the iron no more. He didn't try to hit me with the iron no more, but he was hitting me with the cord from the iron. And when I was struck in my eye with the metal part that you plug into the wall, the metal prong that you plug into the wall, I remember thinking, oh my God. And I remember my eye swelling up instantly, but I remember my face was bleeding. I had been kicked in my head. My dad was a truck driver. Again, I think I said that. So he had on boots, and I had been kicked in my head several times because when he would hit me and knock me to the ground, he would kick me. He was really angry. And this went on for a very long time. And then I remember my grandmother jumping up and saying, Ray, that's enough. She went down in the back where we had a washroom. And she came back. And she had a gun. And she said, I never wanted to have to kill one of my kids. I never wanted to do that. If you don't leave out of here, I'm going to kill you. And I remember all my dad's friends and everybody that was there at the time, they got up and left. My dad left out of the house also. My mom, who was still at work. I think the police ended up, Mama, how did you get there? I think the police ended up bringing her there because they ended up taking me to LBJ, but I remember in between my dad leaving and my grandmother being so afraid, I was scared to move, was scared to leave the house. I didn't know if he was going to circle back and come back and start going ballistic. I had no idea. But I knew I needed some help, and I didn't know what to do. So at the time, I went to the restroom, y'all, and I remember, this is what I did. I stood up in the bathroom. And I remember my mouth being busted. I remember being pink and blue and purple and black. And y'all ever seen a dog that was, you know how the owners beat the dogs or had the dogs fight? That's how my face looked. That's how my body looked. And again, my mama is on here, y'all, so I wouldn't tell y'all nothing that didn't happen to me. My body, that was the condition of my 15-year-old, like I said, no more than 125 pound frame body. I was covered in cuts and marks and whelps and bruises. Right, okay. Cuts and scar, and Mama, you remember this. I was covered from head to toe. And all I could think about was how much I love my dad and how he was so wrong because I didn't even do what he thought I was doing. So I remember going into the room. Going into the bathroom. I was back talking about being in the bathroom, and I remember standing in the bathroom and I had all these cuts, and I'm bleeding, and my body is burning, and it's stinging, y'all, and it's tingling, and I never seen so much blood on one person in my life. Never seen so much blood on one person in my life. And I stood in the bathroom, and I took my left hand, and I put it over my left eye. And I said, oh my God, I can't see. I remember that. I remember it. I said, oh my God, I can't see. And my mom still wasn't there. My mom still wasn't there. Okay. So I remember my brother Byron, he was playing basketball. He had played basketball. And whatever happened, he ended up coming home. He didn't know what happened. And when he came in, he's seen all the turmoil or whatever, he was afraid. We were afraid. That's the truth. We were afraid, you know? And after that, y'all, I remember going in the room. I remember locking myself in the room. I remember just standing there and I'm just looking at myself and I'm just like, oh my God, look at me. And I'm afraid because I know that this person, this demon, because I know, because like I said, I found God at 9 years old because of the fact that my dad was on drugs. And my family was just in turmoil. I was being molested. Like I said, I started being molested at 6. So, I had to turn to God. And I remember saying, this person is not my dad. And so I remember y'all, if y'all remember my brother, if y'all remember Mark, y'all, he had that green and white. He had the green drops out with the green and white, money green and white interior. Bad motherfucker. Okay, he was on the slab, and I had locked myself in the house and barricaded myself in the room. And I don't know how. I think my grandmother had paged my brother, and he came to the house. And when he came to the house, he said, I remember him knocking on the window. Mark worked at LBJ. Do y'all remember that? If y'all know me and y'all know my family, y'all know Mark worked in the kitchen as a cook at LBJ for a long time. My brother did. That's the hospital that I was taken to. And I remember my brother knocking on my window. And when I peeked out the screen because I didn't know if it was my dad, so I was afraid. So when I peeked out the screen, out the blinds, I thought it was my brother. And I remember, like, it was a breath of fresh air because he just picked me up and pulled me out the window and drove me to the hospital. Y'all, when I was there and I was in that hospital, 1,000 things went through my mind. I hated, at that time in my life, I hated drugs because I knew that they could cause things like this to happen. At that time, I hated my grandmother because I feel like she did not stand up for me. I hated every adult that was in the house that did not take the time to say, hey, that's enough. To try to take me out the house, to try to do anything to help me. Y'all, I hated everybody. But so I remember being there, and I remember CPS coming, y'all. I remember these people coming and they asking me everything, and I'm saying exactly what went on because it was very important for me. I felt like it was very important for me to tell the police that my dad was on drugs. I don't know why at a young age it was really important for me to tell them that. So I remember that. So we had a conversation, we had CPS interviews, police, whatever. So I remember, I'm gonna get to this important part of the story. This is why I say it's out of sight. That's why my title was Out of Sight. So when I got to the hospital, I had been going back and forth, going through surgeries, having treatment, y'all. And I remember I was going to the hospital one day, going to the eye doctor one day, and I remember being in the chair. I'm sure my mom remembers this. I remember being in the examination chair, and I'm laying on my back, and they looking in my eyes, and the man said, I'm going to have to give her a shot in her eye so I can run this test on her. Y'all, and I remember distinctly laying on that chair, screaming to the top of my lungs, telling that doctor, I want my daddy. You not doing nothing to me until my daddy gets it. See, even after, a few weeks of going through treatment, dealing with the police, dealing with everything that I dealt with, I learned at an early age, forgiveness is the only way to be saved, forgiving people is the only way to fully let go. you know. And I had already forgiven my father, even though he had not forgiven himself. It turned into a whirlwind from there. My dad was on drugs and he was doing all kind of shit. He was beating my mama. Y'all, it was a fool. Do y'all understand? But at the end of the day, um, I think that one of the things that hurt the most is that my father never suffered any consequences for changing my life for the rest of my life. He never suffered any consequences for lowering my self-esteem. He never suffered any consequences for not teaching me the type of man that I should have dated or the type of person I should have dated. He never suffered any consequences for being the way he was with my mother. He never suffered any consequences for being a womanizer and having children in the street. Like, he never suffered any consequences for those things. But y'all, I tell y'all this. The moral of the story is that's something that happened in my life and it changed my life forever. This was a story about forgiveness because it didn't matter how bad I was hurt by my father or how wrong I felt like he was. I knew that there was a demon inside of him that was beyond his control and caused him to act in a manner that he did. Was it right? Absolutely not. But I couldn't be here standing telling the next young lady or the next lady or the next girl that it's gonna be okay and you're not what you've been through. And so I wanted to talk about this because I have a million people that say, what happened to your eye? Or that's the cross-eyed girl. Or, whoa, whoa, whoa. Be mindful before y'all start badgering and slandering and talking and belittling another person, because you never know their story. You never know their story. This is not just a story to set me free. This is a story for today's 15-year-old Tamika. This is a story for that girl. This is a story to tell that girl that I went through all that. I went through hell, high water. I was dragged through the mud. But I came out on top. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. I'm not perfect, but I survived. And let me tell y'all this. I don't care what a person says. Healing has no time limit. Okay? I had to go through this. I had to go through the emotional torment that I inflicted on myself, because now after I lost my eyesight and my eyes like this and it's a lazy eye and it look crosser, now I feel like when I get into relationships I have to accept being abused, or I had to accept being mistreated, or I had to accept being treated like less than, because I remember when I didn't look like this. But now I'm like, bitch, this is my face, deal with it. Deal with it. This is my struggle, deal with it. Y'all, I wanted to tell that story because I'm tired of asking the question or answering the question, what happened to my eye? I'm tired of hearing the whispering. I'm tired of feeling like I have to hold my head down when I'm around people. If y'all love me, y'all fuck with me, y'all gonna do it. And if y'all don't, y'all not. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, but you have to understand. You have to understand, y'all, that we are bigger than our circumstance. We are bigger than the things that we went through, y'all. This is the naked truth. With your girl, Big Fine Grandmama. Y'all, if y'all not fucking with me and y'all not following me, what is y'all doing? Okay? Y'all see, we're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to pray. We gonna enjoy life, y'all. And I'm going to show some other little girl that it's okay. See, we gotta stop making them feel like you gotta look a certain type of way to deserve to be treated a certain type of way. Um, Let me just say this, y'all, and this is so old. But if I could say anything to my mother, if I could say anything to my mother, I would say thank you. I would say thank you for staying. I would say thank you for loving us enough to want us to have a stable home and be taken care of. Thank you for letting me go through these struggles. I thank God for you because of you, He gave me a gift. And I'm able to help somebody else who may not have a voice, who may be afraid to speak out, y'all, if y'all going through something. If y'all going through something like that, I need y'all to understand that trouble don't last always. And I don't care what your sexual orientation is, what race you are, what your financial status is. If you hold on to God, you can make it through anything. And I knew at an early age, when I decided to go and find God at 9 years old, because my life was in turmoil, that I had to place myself on solid foundation. And I say this, my mama went to church growing up, but she wasn't able to raise us in church because she had to work to take care of us. I found God by myself. I survived this by myself. Not many women can say they survived it. And I remember leaving home. I left home when I was 17 years old. And I remember, well, I was maybe 16 and a half, and I left home and I said, these motherfuckers is not doing a good job taking care of me. I'm gonna get out here and figure out how to take care of myself. And I did. And after losing my eyesight, I taught myself how to braid hair. And I taught myself how to drive. I taught myself how to sew hair in. And I went to school and I struggled, y'all. I never had to sell my body. I never had to sell myself short. My children never had to be abused or mistreated. And if I can't thank God for nothing else, I can thank Him for that. Y'all, this has been the butt naked truth, baby. And if y'all know anything about me, y'all got to know that I feel naked right now. Y'all could have been any motherfucking where else, but y'all was here fucking with me. And I appreciate y'all and I fuck with y'all for that. Let me tell y'all something. I need y'all to share this video. I need everybody on here to share this video, and I need y'all to tell somebody to share this video, because this video gonna help somebody. It's gonna help somebody. My story ain't your story, and your story ain't my story, but I can tell you this, we can all survive and be able to tell our story. We can be able to tell our story. Jamal, you could look at that teenage boy and you see yourself in him. You can look at young Jamal and you can tell him something because you've been through 2 or 3 things. Arnisha, you've been through 2 or 3 things. Sean, you done been through 2 or 3 things and hell and back right along with me. I thank you for being patient with me. Shout out Nikki, hey sister-in-law. Y'all have no idea. This did not just help me. This just didn't help someone else, but this also helped me. I've never talked in detail about what happened to me on that night. I never talked in detail about what happened to me on that night, y'all. I never did. And oh, y'all, let me tell y'all the ending of the story. This is why I said it was out of sight. So I remember my dad, and I'm gonna let y'all go, mama. Okay, my dad had cataract surgery. My mom was at work. My mom was at work. My daddy was at home in that house, y'all, and he had set up an infection. He let an infection set up in his eye. And I said, and I stayed right around the corner from like literally walking distance. And I remember my mama called me and I went around there and I said, what's up? And I said, what you doing here? I said, damn, my nigga, you look fucked up. Because I talked to my daddy. I was like, ah, damn, my nigga, you look fucked up. And he's like, yeah, my eye, it ain't doing right and it's leaking or whatever. And I said, why you didn't call me? My daddy looked at me and he said, I could have never called you and asked you to help me after what I did to you. And I said, baby, you got to forgive yourself because I'm way over it. I've already forgiven you. You got to forgive yourself. Like, I couldn't be who I am if I didn't forgive you. So at that time, my dad and I talked, and my dad said to me, if I could give you my eyes right now, I would. And I said, I know you would. But he did the best thing for me that he could do in life is he got sober. And he allowed me 17 years with him sober. And I thank God for it. Y'all, again, this has been The Naked Truth. Share this video. Y'all, if y'all not following me, I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, here. Yeah. Thank y'all for fucking with me. You already know what it is. I'm out. Peace.